Welcome to the webinar, everybody. First, I wanted to introduce you to the folks that are going to be presenting today. I'm Emily Maxey, the Director of Marketing Services here at Skuid, and I'm your moderator. We've also got Mike Duensing, our CTO and Executive VP of Engineering, and Scott Cotter, our Chief Marketing Officer. So take it away, Mike and Scott.
Great, thanks, Emily. We're excited to share today some of the new capabilities of our Brooklyn release. And in my opinion, this is possibly the most significant release yet. And I want everybody to know to make sure you tune in to the end, because some of the most exciting news comes at the end of this webinar. So before we dive into the release itself, I wanted to remind everybody why Skuid exists and what is it that we're trying to do with this company and this platform. We believe that enterprise software should be easy to use. It should help us get our work done. It should not create training hurdles and adoption issues. Software in general should work the way we do, not the other way around. Software should be more human. It should be less machine. So as you hear us talking about some of the advances in this release, hopefully you'll hear and see that as we go through. So what is Skuid? Skuid is a cloud user experience platform for anyone to rapidly create bespoke apps without code. And there's a few things that I'd like to highlight in that statement before we get going. One is the concept of a UX platform. Skuid sits above your other enterprise enterprise software systems and systems of record. If we leverage your data where it rests, so that's pretty important to understand that concept. Second, bespoke. Much like tailor-made suits, you create tailor-made apps with Skuid. And finally, no code. This is important because non-developers can participate or even lead the development process with Skuid. And the way that works, it's really a brilliant approach. A non-developer can create apps because Skuid abstracts the difficult parts of programming with our point-and-click, drag-and-drop approach. Within the app composer, you use models, which is a first level of abstraction, to connect to data sources. Then you assemble apps and design the UI with Skuid components and the theme builder, yet another layer of abstraction. And finally, you can automate actions and business logic with the Skuid action framework to create bespoke apps. And again, we built this so that the non-developer can participate or lead in that process. So with that, we're going to jump into the details of the Brooklyn release. And Mike, how about if you share a little bit about what we've accomplished in this release before we get started?
Sure, Scott, I'd be glad to. Okay, as you know, the user experience is a major focus of Skuid. You're going to see that we are introducing some really exciting new features in this area. Another thing is data. Data is really seamless to work with Skuid, and it's really key to all that we do. And I know you're really going to like to see what we're unveiling in Brooklyn. Skuid is also very active in enterprises all over the world, and we will be announcing support for new capabilities that the enterprise requires. And lastly, Skuid is really venturing further. We're going to be announcing an exciting new expansion for Skuid, so really stay tuned to hear about this towards the end of the webinar.
Yeah, it looks like we're really hitting on some of the key features with this, or some of the key points of our vision with this release. So happy to see that. Why don't we dive in? Tell us a little bit about tables, one of the first advances here.
Absolutely. So the table component is a big component within Skuid, and I want to tell you about some new cool ways you can work with tables. So first of all, when composing an app, you can now determine when to show or hide a table column based on any condition. So let's take an example. Say you have an insurance customer that qualified for a certain class of insurance. Based on their criteria, with the Brooklyn release, you can now then show the insurance column that is relevant only for those types of customers. Then the column would automatically be hidden if customers did not meet the criteria. We're also putting more power into the hands of end users. As you can see in this example right here, users can decide which columns they want to show or hide their data. So you can see by the click marks. And we've taken this even further. End users can also reorder columns, as you can see by the drag and drop of the columns. When they log out and log back in, the state of their table is just going to remain the same. We think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great. And you know what? As a marketer, I think even I could handle that.
I would agree with that. I think even you could.
That's great. Data sources, another big, powerful piece of the platform. Why don't we transition and tell us what we're doing there?
Okay, cool. Well, what I want to tell you about now is how we are making it even easier to use data with Skuid apps. So today we're introducing something called pre-configured data source types. The goal with these is to make it super simple to get up and running quickly when integrating data into your user experience. So in the Brooklyn release, we are providing data sources for Microsoft products like Dynamics, Calendar, Email, OneDrive, and others, as well as SAP, Google Calendar, Drive, and Slack. In addition, we've also provided support for any OData 4 interface. So let's take a look at this example of a Microsoft Outlook data source. So here you can see how you can update your Outlook calendar and then have events automatically sync to your Skuid calendar component. So what's great about this is we support two-way syncing. So you can also update your Skuid calendar component, and it's going to automatically update your Outlook calendar. Again, no code is required. And just to throw in there, the same is true for Google calendars as well. So just continuing on, in addition, with point and click, now you can do things like sending Outlook email directly from the Skuid app. You can use docs from Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, and SharePoint. You can synchronize tasks, or you can even send a message to your Slack channel about a new deal you just won. And then working with SAP just became easier with Skuid because you can build beautiful custom apps with SAP tailored to your exact needs. So it's amazing. There's so many use cases. I can't even go into them all.
Yeah, so you named there's a lot of new pre-configured data sources there. How are we going to prioritize? Where are we going to focus our efforts as we add new data sources?
Well, we're going to be adding more and more pre-configured data source types with every release going forward. So, and most of them are going to be the popular data platforms you see out there. So keep an eye on our release announcements. You'll see them starting to roll in.
That's great. So what if you need to join data from different sources?
Sure, yeah. We're really excited about another new feature in Brooklyn called data source references. So just as an example, have you ever had something like a product ID but needed to reference another database to get the name of the product associated with the ID, or perhaps a company ID and name of the company? So with Skuid now, you can easily perform lookups between data sources. So take a look at this scenario right here. So we're in the process of creating a new invoice, and you're going to see we'll have a list of IDs that are corresponding to jurisdiction names that are retrieved from another data source. This is a common use case, and it's really now available with Skuid without code. Your users don't even know where the data is coming from. It just works. I'm sure you'll find many uses for this in your bespoke apps.
Yeah, I mean, state tables, country codes, area codes, there's all kinds of uses for things like that.
Airlines, all kinds of things, stickers, stock, yeah.
Okay. So within, I know we've also made some improvements to the action framework, which is really important for automating some tasks. What can our users expect with regards to that?
Sure, yeah. So keeping in the spirit of driving the no-code revolution, which is really important to all of us, the Brooklyn release, we feel like we've moved the ball forward even further. So, and really in the area of point and click, UI, and business logic. So with the Brooklyn release, we are introducing something called data actions. And data actions they're really very exciting because they speed up how you can leverage your data in a big way. So let me give you an example. Let's say you want to associate a service level agreement document with a specific account. With a Skuid data action, you would have the ability to point and click your way to creating a folder and a document in Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive for that account. And that's just one example. There are data actions that Skuid has introduced in new data sources that we discussed earlier. So I really encourage you to go in and check them out, and you're going to be amazed at how fast you can work with data without code.
Okay. You know, one of the things that I know a lot of customers like is that Skuid apps run on virtually any device. Now, I know we're making some changes. We've got a new unified app composer. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, exactly. So we've heard from our users loud and clear that having a single composer for creating both desktop and mobile apps is really a key need. So in the Brooklyn release, we're really happy to announce that we've listened, and Skuid has a unified composer to build both desktop and mobile apps. So Skuid really fully supports responsive behavior, gestures, navigation, including flyout panel selection, some of which you can see demonstrated here. There's really tremendous value in providing mobile apps as well as desktop apps to your users. And you can deliver beautiful consumer-like apps with Skuid to your business really very, very quickly.
So for those apps that have been created with the mobile composer before, what happens to those? Do we need to republish or?
Well, the previous mobile composer is still going to be supported, but we encourage all new mobile apps to be developed in the unified composer going forward.
Okay. And now I know we've got some new components as well. Maybe if you can run through some of those with us?
Yeah, sure. So in the previous scene, you probably saw there's a deck component. And the deck component is really great for mobile as well as scenarios where a card-type layout experience is desired. In addition to the deck component, we are also introducing two more components that really pack a big punch. They are the filter set and the button set components.
What can you do with filters and buttons?
Well, what these components do is provide more granular control with the user experience. So as an example, you could associate a filter component with a chart UI and control the experience of what data you want the end user to interact with and see on your chart. And then we have buttons. And buttons seem really small, but I think they're really big. As an example, let's say a user wants to click a button to update opportunity data in Salesforce, as an example, then update the product info in SAP. This is something that would be really quick and easy to do with a Skuid button component combined with Skuid actions.
Yeah, small button, big power. I like that.
Small but big is my motto on this one.
Okay. So single sign-on is the norm at a lot of large enterprises. What have we done to advance in that area?
Well, this is another really big area here in the Brooklyn release, and we're really excited about it. So if you work in an environment where there are many data sources that you need access to, Skuid really has a great solution for making it easy to use them by logging in once with your company's single sign-on environment. So we've listened to our enterprise customers who have told us that this is an important need, and we're pleased to announce support for single sign-on with our SAML interface. So we know it's a key requirement, and we're looking forward to you taking advantage of Skuid and single sign-on.
Yeah, that's going to be great,
yeah.
Especially as we bridge more different data sources pre-configured. That's going to be very powerful.
I'm really excited about it.
Yep, cool. Okay, well, one of the hallmarks, in my opinion, is that Skuid apps always look great. They look exactly how you want them to. I know we've made some updates to the themes, especially those for our customers making the transition to Salesforce Lightning. Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So the theme composer is another big area with Skuid, and as you said, you can make custom branding and your look and feel with just point and click ease. But for those customers who are using Salesforce Lightning, so in addition to the deep compatibility Skuid already provides in that area, we've updated the Lightning theme to stay current with the Lightning design system. So when you build apps with Skuid, they blend seamlessly with the Lightning experience, as you can see here. We've also made some other updates to the Skuid theme composer to provide even more control to the look and feel of your apps. And you'll see that going forward, that we're going to continue to give you even more control for your look and feel.
That's good. So outside of the product itself, I know that the team has also made some advances as far as training, learning, documentation. What's on the horizon there?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me tell you about a huge investment we are making in our learning resources. So we have a new documentation site where you will find excellent content for extending Skuid, as well as other new content. You're going to eventually see resources on this new site rolling over in the coming months. So I encourage you to head on over to docs.skuid.com to check it out. Keep your eye on it. I also want to tell you about some other things. So keep an eye on the website, as we're going to be picking up the pace for instructor-led training in 2017. We're also going to roll out online training as well. So keep an eye on that as well.
Okay, that's great. That kind of wraps up the highlights for the core platform, the Brooklyn release. This is kind of where we transition, in my opinion. This is what I told you everybody to pay attention for. This is what I'm most excited about here. But before we get started, I want to ask the audience a question. So if you would, everybody use the, answer the poll and let me know, have you ever wanted to Skuidify enterprise apps from other platforms besides just Salesforce that you have in your organization? Salesforce, powerful platform, people have done some great stuff, but have you ever thought about that? I see things clicking in and it looks like the vast majority are, but I'll let Emily kind of tee us in later. I personally, ever since joining Skuid earlier in the year, I mean, I've been amazed and impressed, Mike, with what I've seen some of our customers do with their UX and Salesforce. The way some companies have handled their lead qualification, their opportunity pipeline, 360-degree customer views, customer portals. I've seen all kinds of really cool stuff with Skuid, and I have been wondering myself, wow, if we unleash that on other enterprise platforms, what's that going to do for us? So, Emily, what are you seeing in the polls?
Yeah, it looks like 75% of people on the webinar right now have wanted to Skuidify other enterprise apps outside of Salesforce. So not too surprising.
Yeah, well, that's great. I think hopefully after they learn a little bit more, we're going to see that number is even higher once you can envision where that can be taken. So, but that's pretty much what we expected. We expected that's the type of result we'd have. And beginning today, good news for everybody, or good news for that 75% at least, you will be able to create amazing bespoke apps for any enterprise software platform on both Salesforce and your other enterprise platforms. So if that doesn't make sense, I mean, that's something to really think about, really take into account. Mike, why don't you share with us a little bit more about this development?
Yeah, sure. So for many of the customers that I've spoken with, and I know others within Skuid, when we talk with customers, they love what Skuid is doing. They love the great, amazing capabilities of the bespoke apps without code that we provide. But they've asked us, can we do this for our whole enterprise? We have users on Salesforce, which is a great platform. But what about the users that are in other areas of the enterprise? So we've listened to our customers, and we have a solution for that we're unveiling today, as you just mentioned, Scott. So we've been available natively on Salesforce, but what we're announcing today is the availability of the Skuid Platform.
Okay, that's tell me a little bit more about it.
Sure. So what this is Skuid is now also hosted on Amazon Web Services. So in fact, we are really excited to be delivering this webinar from the AWS reInvent conference in Las Vegas. So let me just tell you a little bit more about what the Skuid Platform is.
Yeah, and for those of you who happen to be, if anybody's here at AWS reInvent, stop by and we'll give you a first-hand show and tell.
Cool. So the Skuid Platform is really the same core Skuid product, but it's just hosted and managed by Skuid on AWS. So we're still going to provide Skuid as a native operating on Salesforce, but now there's also another option. So you can see in this diagram here is a Skuid on Salesforce. Skuid provides a bespoke UX layer on Salesforce that can use data from the Salesforce database and any others. But on the left, you can see that Skuid is providing the UX layer as well as the platform infrastructure and other services.
Okay. So let me just make sure that this is clear for everybody. This means that for my apps on Microsoft Dynamics, on Oracle, SAP or something like that, I can Skuidify those apps?
That's right. You can whatever platform you have, Skuid can access it. We talked about pre-configured data sources, and we have OData and REST. We have all kinds of ways for you to access the data and then build these beautiful bespoke UX experiences on top of your environments.
Okay. That is, I can't wait to see what our customers are going to do with that. A little bit about the timeline here. So you may be wondering, Today is the general availability for our Brooklyn release, which has all the features that we talked about here today and demonstrated. It is also when Skuid Platform is available as a beta release for any of our customers. So we'll share with you a little bit how you get involved in that beta program if you're interested. In January, we'll be doing an update to the Brooklyn release, which will have some updates to the Salesforce platform, but also the Skuid platform itself will be GA. The beta period will be ending then, and it'll be available for any customers, existing or new, to create apps for just about any enterprise software platform. So that's the timeline. That's what we're heading into here. Anything to add, Mike, or should we?
No, I think that's a good explanation.
Okay. So for those of you, I see a couple questions about the beta release and how do you get involved. One of the things, if you want to try this out, after the webinar, this webinar is going to be available on demand, and it'll be at the same URL that you registered, skuid.com/Brooklyn. So you'll have the ability to request access to the beta release at that website, but that'll be later today after the webinar is over. In the meantime, right now, if you pop up an email window and you send a message to platform@skuid.com, we'll get you in the queue, we'll collect the information needed, and that's another way to enter the program. So there's two ways right now, and I'd encourage you, especially if you're an existing Skuid customer that's part of that 3/4 or so that said you have thought before about Skuidifying other apps, send that email right now. Okay? So we're now at the question and answer portion. We're probably about, you know what, we're actually about 5 minutes ahead, but I'm going to open up the floor. I know that our organizers have been watching questions. We're just going to pull them out of the queue. Are there any questions, you guys, that we want to hit? And by the way, I've got Ben and Ethan here that are helping us with some of the questions that are of the more technical nature.
Yeah, I've been writing down a lot of questions. I've been answering some privately, but some of the questions here. One is, I'm an existing Salesforce customer. How will the Skuid native platform affect me?
Okay. Mike, you want to take that one? Or?
Yeah, if you're an existing Salesforce customer, we encourage you to continue to use Skuid on Salesforce. It's a great platform for building applications. If you have users who are not on Salesforce and they would like to take advantage of the great capabilities of Skuid, then this is an option.
So this is like somebody with their HCM software, financials,
yeah,
something that is different from their Salesforce user base?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Another licensing question. Is this part of the same license that I'm already paying for with Salesforce?
There'll be a new license structure.
So you'll need to purchase a separate license for users that are.
So you're it's one platform. So it's still the Skuid platform, but whether you're building apps in the Salesforce cloud or in the AWS cloud, that's where it changes. So you're going to add more users, which will require new seats or new licenses, but otherwise it's the same platform.
Okay, and we had some questions about the Unified Composer. I think some people were confused about whether the Unified Composer was a new thing that they'd have to migrate their desktop apps to as well, and that's not the case. Your desktop apps are going to be the same and work as they always did. It's the mobile composer that you would have to do a little bit of work to bring those into the Unified Composer. Right. But another question from some partners. The question is, how do you at Skuid engage or partner with independent consultants?
Oh, that is a great question. So we've got the Skuid Alliance Partner Program, which there's some information on the website. We're going to be putting, with this new release, we're going to be putting a lot more effort into the partner program. So I would say if you're an existing partner, stay tuned. You're going to see some new developments in 2017. If you're interested in becoming a new Skuid partner, whether as a systems integrator or an application developer, provider, whatever it may be, reach out through that same Skuid Alliance, and that will get the ball rolling.
Another question is, how much do Skuid native platform licenses cost?
Yeah, you know what? That's talk to your sales guy, because there are a variety of different options, nonprofits, enterprise. So that question for that is best to talk to your sales guy. If you're not an existing customer, then feel free to initiate a contact request through the web. But it is a nominal fee that definitely our customers see tremendous ROI.
I've got a couple more technical questions. For the user configured tables, what happens when an admin changes the page? And I can answer that question. But right now, it will reset your users' customizations. But typically in production, we don't see that happening all that much. But we are working on ways to fix that as well, to make that a better experience.
Okay. What else do we have? Is there anything else in the queue? I don't know that I see any more, but you tell me.
Someone says, I can't wait to show its release to my department.
That's good. We couldn't wait to show it to you today, whoever. Thank you.
We have a lot more technical ones that I might be answering just privately.
Okay. Yeah, so if anybody has submitted a question that is very specific or highly technical, then we'll be following up with those one-on-one. Okay, anything else we want to cover? Otherwise, we can probably wrap things up here. Okay, I think that's good. So again, if you do have any questions from the queue or that you fed into the queue, we will reach out to you and we'll handle those directly. But otherwise, thank you everyone for tuning in today. We're very excited to share with you the details of our Brooklyn release and the new Skuid Platform announcement here from AWS reInvent. Emily, is there anything else before we go?
Nope, that's it. And if you guys have more questions about the Skuid platform or about Skuid Brooklyn, feel free to reach out on the community as well, and people will be standing by to answer questions there.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you all for your time today, and we look forward to working with you as you Skuidify more apps. Thanks.